Kato, you way too dope, kid.
I've been living around this morning through the rain. Hidden pain, hidden tears. Had to keep them locked away. I done shed so many tears. Heal my heart, save my soul. I bury my heart anew. Devil working on my soul, but I'm so blessed. Leave it up to God, so right now I just worry less. Yeah. Heal my heart, save my soul.
Kato, you way too dope, kid.
The pain from my past.
This is exciting. Ah, man. I can't wait to get this started. Let's go. All right. Is this good?
Beautiful.
All right.
Name and where you're from?
Hi, I'm Tatton Philips. I'm from Buff Bay, Jamaica. Born and raised.
Tell me about your family growing up.
I had a good family upbringing. In Jamaica, I had family traveling from the United States continually. And for that, it helped me to have a pretty rich background, traveling around the island. And the family was very close. So I had a pretty good upbringing. Single parent, my mother. I grew up with my mom. My father migrated and left when I was a youth. So my father was not in my life as a youth. But I wasn't lacking anything as a child. So.
Were your mom strict?
Yes, extremely strict. And to this day remains so. And one of the biggest influences in my life, or the biggest, I should say. And she's still impactful in my life. So I can say I have an amazing mother, and I'm grateful for it.
Was your childhood event-free?
Yeah, pretty much so. Stress-free. We was raised well. Had the best of education that I could have, and drama-free. As far as when I compare myself, or I listen to the stories of the many people I've met over the decades, I can say that it's been a blessed childhood. Yeah.
What kind of kid were you in high school?
In high school, which was here in the United States, it was after I migrated at the age of 12 to New York, to Queens, New York. I did part of high school in New York, and I came to Florida to Kissimmee and finished high school in Kissimmee. 11th and 12th grade was done in Kissimmee. I was a happy person. The conflicts within myself was, mainly with the issues I had with my father, which I met at the age of 12. And so not knowing him and just that family dynamic of leaving Jamaica, coming to a new country, those issues arise itself in me lashing out in different ways. But as far as childhood and high school, I was pretty smooth transition as well. As I said, I have nothing but to be grateful for my childhood. All the way through school, it was a true blessing.
What did you do after high school?
Well, I joined the Army National Guard, and I started working. I had an auto accident about a year after high school that led to a quadriplegic injury. But immediately after high school, I joined the Army National Guard as a medic. And I started college.
Tell me about your accident.
So that's a loaded story, but I left the house and it was raining heavily. Before I left the house, my girlfriend at the time was warning me not to leave because she had a dream that I was in an accident. And I don't remember much, but what I do remember is trying to control a car that was losing control of itself. And then I remember waking up in a hospital.
How did you feel in the moment when you were trying to gain control of the vehicle?
The only thought was controlling the vehicle. I don't remember what I felt. I remember absolutely nothing until I woke up in the hospital.
How much time later did you wake up from the accident?
It was 3 days later. I woke up out of the coma. Albeit, my parents were told that I would be catatonic because I had no heart or brain function for an hour and a half full. So the doctors were expecting me to remain in said state, but I woke up. And when I woke up and I opened my eyes, I was a different person than the person that I knew the first 18 years of my life. Immediately, I was a different person. I opened my eyes, and within myself, I had a quick conversation. It took it maybe a quick second, and the conversation said, "What's happening? Who are you? And what's changed?" And immediately in me, I knew I was a different person, and I had a peace inside of me that I did not know and I didn't understand. And since that time, which is I was 19, I'm 39 now, I've been on a journey to get to know that peace in a new way. But I was no heart or brain function for a full hour and a half. My father looked at a dead body when he left work, and he came to the hospital and he looked at a fully deceased body, and he couldn't believe what he was looking at. And he just reminded me of this a couple months ago when he was looking at my dead body. But here I sit. So the first thing I remembered was looking around the room and wondering what happened. And I remember looking at these different machines connected to me. Some of them was pumping IV, some of them looked like they had medicine in them. And I was wondering, okay, what's going on? And then I had a feeling on the inside that was different. A peace. I had peace. I had total peace in my mind. And now before the accident, previous to that, I remember there being conflict in my mind, always conflict. But now I wake up and I'm in this situation, I had a peace in me. And I knew that peace didn't come from me. I knew that it was a total peace that was given unto me, but I was just at peace. I did not know, however, that the doctors were telling my parents that I had a life expectancy of a few months to a year. I did not know, however, that I had been to this traumatic accident. I didn't even know that I was paralyzed now from the neck down. I thought I was whole and just sitting in this hospital bed, recovering. I did not know that my life was going to now change dramatically from that point on. I didn't know of what was ahead. The only thought I had was that I just had an accident, you know. But I had total peace. And that peace prepared me for what was next. Because I truly believe that if that peace wasn't given unto me, I wouldn't have been able to handle the truths that came later on in my life. As a young man, I was always in battle with the family dynamic in the house. A stepmom, a father that I didn't have a relationship with or a connection with, and being strict Caribbean people, and me being a teenager, wanting my own way. So up to the age of 18, though everything was provided, it was always a bit tumultuous as far as myself and dealing with my father and my stepmom. Not that there was any issues or any lack, but on my part, I always wanted more. I always wanted my own freedoms. I always wanted to do my own thing. But that was totally removed from me, and there was no questions that was within my mind. That I just had a peace about life that comes, I believe it would come with maturity, but with me it was instantaneous. It was just me waking up and being different. After the accident, I had a desire to include my stepmom, my father, in my life. So my father, at the age of 18 or 19, when I came out of the hospital, said, you did this to yourself, so you're gonna wipe his hand clean off me, and I have to take care of myself now. Being in a city that I'd never been to, which is Orlando, Florida. I'd never been here before when I came, and I was going to end up in a nursing home at the age of 19. But I decided that if I'm going to be love, if I'm going to continue this life, and the truths that I'm learning about who I am and my desire to seek and serve a God with, I fostered a really good relationship with my stepmom and my father. Now, before the accident, I didn't really have a relationship with my stepmom and my father, but what I did was I continually kept in contact. I would have friends take me down to the family house and just be there when, without them knowing that I would pop up. And I desired, that a heavy desire to have that relationship, which I know if it was up to them, it wouldn't have happened because they wouldn't have pushed towards me, but I pushed towards them in every way so I can foster that relationship with them. So the peace that I gained because of the accident was knowing that all things are well, regardless of what I'm going through. And me seeking the word of God helped me. Me getting into the word, getting into the Bible is what I mean, and reading and using that word to strengthen myself has been the biggest help to me in my life, period. And that peace that was obtained to me has been all confirmed to me through the word of God. And so what I was going through on my own, there's no way I believe I could have taken on this monumental task. I immediately coming out of the hospital, things that people said was impossible. For example, I was told I'm in this situation and I could never live a normal life. I'm in this situation I could never live independently. I was in this situation I was going to be on trays of pills every single day for the rest of my life. And all of that was proven to be wrong. And it was only through my faith was I able to get through. I was in a power chair out of the hospital. My hands were closed. I couldn't barely move my upper body. I couldn't do anything for myself. I couldn't feed myself. There was life was totally dependent, and I was told that I would be dependent for the rest of my life. But yet I've lived independently on my own since 3 months after I came out of the hospital. I've lived on my own, period. I was told because of brain damage I'd never go back to school. And I was told the government would not help me to go to school, but yet I put myself through school without the government assistance, even with them telling me I would never be able to do it. I was working 6 months out of the hospital full time, which I was told, that was going to be impossible. And so me staying grounded, believing in myself, and continuing to push and having that desire to live really changed my life in ways that I think even if the accident didn't happen, I really, when I think about it, believe that I would have just been in that state of going to school and doing the norm, but I don't believe I would have matured as quickly as I did. And I would have probably accomplished a lot of things that I did accomplish in life. So I'm grateful. I truly am grateful.
Tell me about your relationship with God.
So my relationship with God trumps everything in my life. It is my life. There is no life outside of my relationship with God. So I pray. I continually through the day, and that's pretty much it. God is my life. It's not a religion to me. God is not a religion. God is not a set time, go to church on Sunday. No, God is life to me. And I believe that we're all part of God and in God's, as the word lets us know that we are created in God's image. And I believe that that's exactly so. And my journey is to allow the Lord's word to come out of me. And he's done these wonderful things in my life. According to medical documents, I am not supposed to be alive. I'm not supposed to be cognitive and be able to have these conversations with anyone. Yet here I am. I'm not supposed to be able to live the way I live. And yet here I am. And so, and I can't ascertain it. To me, it's not me. Because I don't have the strength within myself to do these things. There were dreams in me from before the accident that became reality. And there are still dreams now that become reality consistently and continually, and they have nothing to do with me. So, yeah, God provides. Jehovah Jireh, my provider. This chair I'm sitting on, this wheelchair, was donated to me, and the young man that donated to me, he passed away a month ago. Now, he was in the wheelchair for 37 years, and he was a paraplegic, meaning that his paralysis is from the back down. The paralysis that I sustained was me breaking my neck, C5 to C7, or the vertebrae in my neck. They had to take a rib bone out of my lower rib here and reconstruct the fifth vertebrae. So the paralysis is actually from the neck down. So balance and feeling and nerves and even my hands, the use of hands, everything from the neck down is affected. This young man was affected from the waist down, and his mom told me that his whole life he wanted to live independently. He wanted to be able to do everything on his own, but he never did that. When it comes to the accident, I was by myself in a new city. My parents weren't there to help me. I was just at the age of 19. I had to look at life and figure out life. And so, being the fact that I was thrown out without the support, I had to lean somewhere. I had to look for somewhere for help. And without the ability to lean directly on people, but I had to pray and lean directly on my beliefs and in the Word, and then see God bring things into my life. That made the difference because it strengthened my faith. I can give you example how God brought things into my life and brought people into my life and provided for me in supernatural ways. So it strengthened my faith. Now, if someone don't believe and don't have that desire to get to know God, or the desire to push beyond what they can see in front of their face, then they might be limited to what's in front of them and limited to the truth that they can see. But I wasn't limited to what was in front of me. I wasn't limited to only what I was told, because I knew that there was a greater truth beyond what I can see. For example, I was in the hospital and the Orlando Magic's wheelchair basketball team came to visit. And I said, what's the difference between me and these young men and women? And they looked like normal people sitting in the wheelchair. Here I was in this big power chair being told I'll never live like them. And I said, why? What's the reason? Their injury is different. Okay, why? I'm in the wheelchair, and I've met with my, 3 people that were actually in the wheelchair and are walking around and running as if nothing had ever happened to them. One of them was in the wheelchair for 36 years. 36 full years. She was paralyzed from the back down, and now Miss Moura is running around with muscles in her leg that just came back, just normal. And her daughter and grandson is crying. I've met several people over the years. One man, 14 years, he was in the wheelchair with a similar injury. And I said, what's the difference between me and them? So I believe that because of faith, and only because of my faith, is everything possible. And that's what I get from the Word when I read the Word. And I believe the Word to be true. So the answer about faith is yes. Only because of my faith do I believe that I am where I am in life. And God's grace and mercy, that's beyond myself. I believe God is good. My life has continued to be good. The more true I am to myself, and the more that I try to serve and to be a good brother, a good friend. And when I say the word good, what I mean is to do unto others as you have done unto you. What I mean is to love them in the capacity that it's a palpable love where they know that you care and you care. I believe that my relationships have all been good, even with partners, or with people that I had. There could be some kind of conflict, or there have been some kind of conflict. It's been good, and there's only love here when it comes to people. So I can say that I don't know if things would have been different if this didn't happen. I can't say. I've thought about that. And I remember even leading up to this accident, I was sitting in Texas in med school, and I thought about my life, and I thought about what would it be if I weren't here in this place right now? What would have happened if I was raised in India or raised in Africa or stayed in Jamaica or stayed in New York? What would my life be? And now I can sit and I can reflect and say, what would my life be? But none of that matters. Only thing that matters is where I am. And I'm happy of where I am. And I don't know if life would be any different otherwise. So I can only deal with the now. And with the now, we are instructed to be well. And so I try to just live in the now, not think about what it would be. And it's good. And I pray that it continue to get better.
What do you do for work?
Right now, I don't work. Yeah, I'm not working a regular job at the moment.
How you're able to take care of yourself financially?
Okay, financially, right now I have a lot of support from my family, my mother, my friends. I do have a few side jobs that I do, whether it's selling products online, doing some IT work for whoever might come, a little bit of day trading, a little bit of investment, helping people structure portfolios, which I first started day trading in 2005, and I've worked for several investment firms over the years. And I also have a 7-year career in IT, which I worked IT. But I walked away from those things in order to seek the Lord first. So now, besides serving in the church, I serve in a nonprofit that is Wheels for Christ that helps bikers and their families when they have issue. And so I wanted to serve God with my life. I wanted to serve people with my life. And so now I'm in a place where I no longer have to work a 9 to 5, provided for by the blessings of my family, and I'm able to serve the kingdom. So tonight there is a ministry going out, and I'm being called to come and serve that ministry and to go help. I still might go help. And that is a biker ministry called Wheels for Christ. And continually I have different ministries reaching out to me, whether the pastors or people within that ministry, for me to come and help in different capacities. And I've always wanted to serve people in my life, and that's where I'm at right now, just serving. As a child, I remember one day I was in New York, and as a kid, you always, I used to dream about nice cars and just materialistic things. But I remember being 14 in New York, and I went to my cousin's house. He was already in college, and he had a book, and this book had all these charts, and I was like, "What is this?" And he said to me, "That's the stock market." And I didn't know what he was talking about. And I remember saying to myself, one day when I get older, I'm going to do that. And I remember coming up to where it was time to decide what school to do and what you want to do in life. And I said something in computers. It was in the 90s, something in computers. But outside of that, I didn't have desires. I knew that life was more material. And I always thought about materialistic things. And I remember dreaming and wanting a mate, wanting a wife, wanting to live a good life. But my idea of a good life back then has transformed. Not knowing that one day when I was 25, I was actually going to get into the stock market stuff. And I was actually going to then be propelled into a career of it where that had nothing to do with me seeking after it. It had to do with God bringing it into my life. And so, yeah, my desires were family-based, just having a good life. And I can say that all of the desires within myself at that age, most of them has come true. I'm a car guy, and even though this happened, it didn't stop me. My last car is a world record holder. for the quarter mile. And I just got out of the car during COVID. So, and I'm in a wheelchair, paralyzed from the neck down. For 3 years, every week I was getting race gas, methanol, setting my tune and going out street racing. And I used to have these gloves. And on the blogs and on the forums online, they used to talk about me thinking because no one knew I was in a wheelchair until one night I got out the car, and then God used me with what seemed to be 100 people around on the side of the street. Instead of street racing going on, everyone was listening to my testimony. And I sat there with all these people around me one evening down on South Orange Avenue. Well, we're supposed to be street racing. They're all gathered wondering, how is this guy in a wheelchair? What is he doing out here? And listening to a testimony of me dying in an auto accident, driving an RX-7 the night the first Fast and the Furious movie came out, June 22nd, 2001. I crashed an RX-7 that night on the way to the movies. Which who drives a car that's in the movie, crashing it the night the movie comes out? I remember so you asked me about dreams. So even like me joining the military, my dream in the military was to be better than everybody, to save a life, and just to do a great job. Well, I was the youngest person in basic training, being 17 years old, but yet they voted for me to be their platoon guide after Hell Week. I saved a life the week before the accident happened. When I was away in training, I saved Private Prime, Prime was his name, Prime, like Optimus, but Private Prime. The Lord used me to save his life, which was my job, but I accomplished everything I wanted in 8 months while I was in. I was an E4, Specialist 4. It takes 2 years to become a Specialist 4. So God helped me to accomplish a lot of things quickly. The night a movie come out, I'm driving one of the star cars in the movie. And I'm a car guy. I've got to continue to do that role, and God's brought some pretty interesting and amazing people into my life, and they've used me in a certain way. A desire within me was to bring forth the word of the Lord. I never knew that I'd be sitting in an auditorium in UCF, and I'm supposed to be bringing forth my project, but instead, for the next hour, I'm testifying, and we're not supposed to do that in the class, but yet at the end of the class, no one wanted to leave. The professor was okay with what was going down, and here I am sitting in front of the class telling them what God has done in my life. And I remember as that was going on, I was thinking, this shouldn't be in school, but yes, here I am doing it. So I'm grateful. I'm truly grateful, because I know that I in myself, I don't see anything special, or I don't believe that I have the different accolades to do some of the things that God did in my life and continue to do in my life, but yet here I am doing them. So yeah, I've seen a lot of dreams come true. I'm not a big dreamer. When the accident happened, I asked the Lord to not let me dream anymore, and I haven't dreamt since June 22nd, 2001. The last time I had a dream was before the accident. I haven't dreamt in the last 20 years.
Do you view people differently because of the accident?
So I can't speak of how I viewed people before the accident. I can speak of how I viewed people on a day-to-day basis. I can say that I view people differently because of my faith. I can say that over the years, and every day I develop and grow, but because of who I am and where I am in life, and because of my situation, which is a man that, is a disabled man that is in America, I think I view people differently. Let's say if someone wasn't in the situation, maybe, because I get to see very regularly the love or care in someone's heart, or the lack thereof. A lot of time I find myself in situations where I'm falling or something might happen, and I'll see how people would treat me differently, how they would treat someone else. I think everyone probably experienced that, but I believe that because of the chair, it makes it so pronounced in my life compared to most. So, and especially like when I was younger compared to now, how people interact with me. So definitely because of the wheelchair, I get to see a slight different perspective than those who are not in the situations, especially when it comes to relationships. I get quickly to see how people treat one, or people taken advantage of, or not. And so I think because of my situation, I get a particular perspective on life and on people. But I've learned that, though, through my belief that the word says we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but principalities and powers, about wickedness in strong places. So I've learned to try to not personalize my experiences, and to treat people, as a different time someone might be going through something and they'll respond differently compared to a different time in their life. So I've tried not to personalize what I'm experiencing, because if I were to do so, I'd probably be very judgmental.
Have you ever been in love?
Yes.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so I think I've been in love a few times. The first in love was with a young lady that I knew from a childhood in New York City. And I moved to Florida and had not spoken to her. And I remember when I started praying that God would bring someone into my life that would love me and that we would have a good relationship. And after not speaking to her for 3 years, I called New York and my cousin said, "Hey, have you spoken to her?" And I said, "No, I haven't in 3 years." Then he said, "Hey, you probably should talk to her." And I called her sister, and her sister told me that when she was 14, when I was living in New York, she told her mom that she wanted me to go away, experience life, and realize that she's the one that's for me, and come back to her. And so I called her and we started talking. And the night the accident happened, she warned me about it. God actually sent her a dream and sent her mother and her father a dream about me being in an accident. She went to church in Brooklyn, to a big auditorium, big conference, and out of thousands of people, Sister Brenda Ministries, Sister Brenda, which is from Houston, Texas, that was visiting New York, she called out this young lady out of a group of thousands and told her that someone that she loved was going to have an accident. The night that I was driving out, she told me, to stay home, don't go anywhere. And so for the next few years, for the next 13 years, this person was instrumental to my life. The Lord used her to bring the word by helping me read the word and help to develop me as a person. And we had a wonderful relationship until it was time to end. Now, more recently, now I've met a young lady named Cynthia, and I've met someone else, and quickly we have kindled a emotion that I haven't experienced in many, many years. And so I'm akinning it to falling in love, yet it's different now at the age of 39. So yes,
You consider yourself lucky?
I consider myself blessed, yeah. I consider myself a very, very, very blessed young man in every way, shape, and form. And another thing, so I didn't know how to express myself and how to bring forth what God has done in my life, and what avenue is going to be used to bring forth what God has done in my life. And I can truly say that I'm blessed because God is good to me, and beyond me being good to myself. So yes, very lucky.
What is the most important thing you've learned
about life?
Yeah.
To be grateful, to continually to be grateful, and to continually to be open to things and to life outside of oneself. So the biggest thing I've learned in life is gratefulness. Even in adversity, even when there's adversity, to be grateful for the adversity, because guess what? I'm alive to experience that adversity. And what will it teach me? Because I can look back in life and say, hey, I've been through this, all these issues have come, but yet here I am, still I've wanted to kill myself and do all these things through different nuances of life that came, and I thought, oh, I couldn't get through this. But yet, I got through it, and still I'm here today. And so to be grateful and to recognize when the differences come, when quote unquote chaos come, to know that it's not here to destroy me. Know that all things work together for good for those who love the Lord and are called according to their purpose, which is to always be present and to do the best you can with what is given to you, or given to me, I should say. So gratefulness is the biggest thing I've learned in life, just being grateful.
So what advice would you give to someone who's going through a traumatic situation right now?
So traumatic situations come every day, in different ways. You know, I can speak of myself of not knowing if I'm going to be alive in a month from now or a week from now, and just different situations over the years. And I can say that my greatest advice is to pray and to have faith about everything that's going to enter. Overthinking and believing that I have the answer, I can provide the answer, never worked with me. The only thing that's worked is to rest. If I didn't get into the Bible for myself and to read it, I wouldn't have anything to sit on. I wouldn't have any foundation or ground to sit on. If I didn't pray through everything I've been through, I don't believe at all I'll be able to come through the issues of life. And if I were to be anxious of nothing, meaning that to allow the situations to sit on my mind and to continue to think through them, I don't think that would have been the answer. I think I would have stressed myself out. And so my advice is to be patient and to be grateful and to be happy. Whatever comes that way, be happy about it, no matter how difficult it might seem.
So in closing, how would you like people to view you?
So in closing, I don't necessarily care how people view me, because everyone's going to view life in the way that they view life. What I would like to say is, if you could view the fact that God has done a work within me and continue to work within me, because every flesh, every human is corruptible. The word says that there's no righteous, no, not one. So me knowing that I'm unrighteous, me knowing that I'm flesh and capable and sin every single day, I don't necessarily care what people view me to be. But if one could recognize that God is working on me and God is working on them as well, and glory be to God, to give God the glory of the things in this earth. That's the only thing that's important.
All right. Well, thank you very much.